Wow, it's good to see everybody here. This is just exciting when we have people here for recognitions and to talk to the board and so we're so excited. So we're going to open this meeting at 7:01 PM. It's been a regularly scheduled meeting. Notice has been duly posted in accordance to Texas Government Code Section 551. We have a quorum present with all council members in attendance. And we're here to conduct business for the city. And Councilman Franklin, I'm sorry. Are you able to lead us in our invocation and pledge?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, here we are once again, Father, thanking you for our life, health, and strength. Father, we ask as we start this council meeting, we ask that you smile down on our city, give us the opening ears, open hearts, to hear the will of our citizens, as well as the ordinance that we shall follow. Father, we ask that you protect our servicemen and women, our first responders, as they keep our city safe. We ask that when they go home, their homes are just like they found them, their families are safe. Now, Father, also in this prayer, we're going to ask that as a city as a whole, we continue to unite us one. For this is my prayer in the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one faith under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Councilman Franklin. All right, so we've got a lot of recognitions. We're going to kind of work through those. And Chief Blanton, are you going to kick us off?
I'll turn my back to you so I can face the audience as well. So, each year, Chief Young, would you please? As I call your names, gentlemen, if you don't mind, come on up. Each year, the department members submit nominations along with their justification for our 6 annual awards. The recipients of these awards were chosen by their peers. This year, we did something a little different, and instead of a plaque, we chose to give the recipients a belt buckle so that they could either wear it or if they choose, or they could use it as a display item. The 2024 recipients of these awards are Firefighter of the Year, Firefighter Andrew Rieger. EMS Provider of the Year, Firefighter Carlos Quinones. Driver Engineer of the Year, Driver Engineer Kyle Riordan, which is not able to be here this evening. Officer of the Year, Captain Loss Horn. Pride and Commitment Award, Driver Engineer Sutton Jones. And the Chiefs Award, Executive Assistant Melina Villanueva. Please join me in congratulating these individuals on receiving these annual awards. Next, we have Outstanding Service Award and Life Saving Award. This is for a call that happened in Red Oak Town Village on April 24th, 2024. On that date at 5:53 p.m., Red Oak Fire Rescue was dispatched to a shooting call at the Red Oak Town Village Apartments. While our units were en route pulling into the parking lot of the apartment complex, the crews realized that the original incident had now expanded to include a motor vehicle accident that was blocking the path to the original shooting victim. The vehicle accident was a result of the suspect attempting to flee the scene of the shooting and colliding with the Red Oak Police Department squad car, resulting in major damage to both vehicles. At this point, our crews on Truck 181 made the decision to split into two groups. Captain Ushery and Firefighter Rieger went to the initial patient that presented with a gunshot wound to the head. Driver engineer Grant Bruce and firefighter Howard began treating and triaging the patients that were involved in the motor vehicle collision in the parking lot of the apartment complex. When Engine 182 arrived on scene, their crew also split into two groups, and Captain Trojic and driver engineer Guerrero assisted Battalion 181 with establishing a landing zone for an air ambulance helicopter. Firefighter Quiones and firefighter Kirby proceeded to the location of the shooting incident to assist the Truck 181 crew with patient care at that location. Throughout this incident, all personnel leading and assisting with patient care on multiple patients were coordinated to provide the highest level of care to the patients that required the most attention. This incident involved one male patient with a gunshot wound to the head, then added the two patients from the motor vehicle accident, and finally a fourth patient, which was the mother of the shooting victim. In total, 3 ground ambulances, 1 air ambulance was requested and utilized for patient care and transport. The communication and coordination with all these agencies working together into the incident assisted in producing a very positive outcome. The shooting victim is now at home. He has made a recovery and with minimal neurological deficits. With this circumstance involves in the above scenario, we would like to recognize the following personnel for Outstanding Service Award. The Outstanding Service Award is an award given to individuals that have demonstrated exceptional performance of their duties by going above and beyond to provide outstanding results. The Life Saving Award is awarded to personnel with their direct involvement, where their direct involvement was instrumental in the saving of a life on or off duty. The Outstanding Service Award goes to, and if you'll come up as I call your name, Battalion Chief Brandon Nichols. He's not able to be here this evening. Captain Andy Trojic, not able to be here. Captain Jared Ushery. Yes. Driver engineer Grant Bruce is not able to make it this evening. Driver engineer George Guerrero, unable to make it. Firefighter Andrew Rieger. Firefighter Jamichael Howard. Firefighter Carlos Quiones. And firefighter Jody Kirby. Some of the same individuals that are up here that are receiving the Life Saving Award are Captain Jared Ushery, firefighter Andrew Rieger, firefighter Carlos Quiones, and firefighter Jody Kirby. Please join me in congratulating these gentlemen in providing outstanding patient care, professionalism, and poise during a very difficult scenario.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. In December of 2024, we held our annual award ceremony for the Red Oak Police Department. We do that every year. We nominate people for an array of things, whether they're life savings awards or meritorious conduct, but there's 3 awards that kind of stand out during that. I'm here to introduce those award winners to you this evening. Okay. So the Officer of the Year for the Red Oak Police Department, Officer Joshua C. Rookie of the Year for the Red Oak Police Department, Officer Kirsten Kronowitz. Supervisor of the Year for the Red Oak Police Department, Lieutenant Chris Schleif. I'll do the other ones next. So in 2024, we hired a total of 6 new officers. 2 of those I'm here to introduce you this evening. You've already met the other 4 on previous council meetings. I'm going to tell you a little about the first one. First one is going to be Edward Parker. Edward is a United States Army veteran. He's also a retired Dallas police detective working in robbery homicide. He's also a graduate of Sam Houston State University and Dallas Christian College. He's currently pursuing his master's in public administration from Tarleton, I believe, from Tarleton. He has about 24 years of total law enforcement experience. We welcome him and we're proud to have him here. The next officer is Officer Tyler Hanks. He's originally from Michigan. He's passionate and played college sports. Which sports was that? Football. Okay. He's very big into fitness, firearms, and tactics. He also won a few awards during the Police Academy for the North Texas Regional Police Academy. And we're really proud of how well he performed in the academy. He's wanting to work hard so he can join our SRT team. We're part of a regional SWAT team with about 13 member agencies. That's one of his aspirations and goals, is to get to that point. He has about a whopping 3 weeks of law enforcement experience. So if you can go ahead and step up. Congratulations, sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We hate that you're leaving, but we understand if you want to go.
Thank you all for coming.
Yes. And we do have a great backdrop if you need a family photo right there. We'd be happy to supply a photo for you. Okay. So our next item is a proclamation, and it's great that we get to recognize Government Communications Day. So February 21st of 2025 is Government Communication Day. So I, as Mayor of City of Red Oak, do hereby proclaim the 21st of February as Government Communication Day. And in Red Oak, Texas, and encourage all residents to thank the members of the Communication and Marketing Department who have dedicated their careers to ensure the city of Red Oak has effective and impactful, successful communication strategies that resonate and that are relevant. And we thank the Department of Communication. 2, 4? 4. Yeah, wow, it's growing. 6? I don't know. Sometimes we have interns and externs, I guess, like that, so. But anyway, thank you for what you do. I think you have made big strides from where we were. And I know like the State of the City address was well put together, and thanks for all your help for that. So February 21st. So buy her a coffee, them a coffee, or whatever, but thank you all for your service. Karen will have your certificate. We took photos earlier. All right, so now's the time for citizens' comments. We have 5 that are turned in. If you haven't filled out a citizen's comment and care to do so, please, we'll go ahead and accept them while I'm working through these. They were turned in a specific order, and so we're going to kind of follow that. And that's Andrea Dawson. Okay, so she's not here. Bob, would you read this in?
This is from Andrea Dawson, sent in on February the 4th, 2020.
No.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? All right, sorry. from Andrea Dawson, sent February 4th, 2025, regarding Yule at Ovilla Road repairs. I would like to request sidewalks and street repairs for this section of Yule that meets Ovilla Road. Now that there is a store, 7-Eleven, within walking distance of so many homes, I've seen children and people attempt to maneuver this dangerous strip of road before a child gets killed. It is best to build a necessary sidewalk and safe street crossing for them. It is beside the fact that they shouldn't be traveling there because they do. Every other street that borders a store is brand new, shiny, and safe. The children and pedestrians have no problem accessing the store. I will be there on the 10th to speak my 3 minutes to the council. Thank you.
Okay. So, the one thing we can say is it's in the works and hang tight, you know. We got a contract, agreement between Glen Heights, half of it's Glen Heights, half of it is ours. So,
There specifically, I think what I heard in there, they're talking about the 7-Eleven, which is on the south side of Ovilla, which is not in our city limits.
that is correct. And I communicated with her and she's talking about north of Willow Road. So,
Oh, she is.
yeah.
Okay.
and so I did tell her that that's in the works. Luke. Is there Luke here? Okay, so I'm not sure what it was. Yeah, so just, he would like to address the concerns with the culture of policing in our community. So whatever that means.
Well, he's not here, so we'll never know.
Okay. Mr. Moses,
Next time.
just state your address and just remember about three minutes.
Yeah, good afternoon, council. 120 Stayback Court, Red Oak, Texas. I came here today to speak to you guys. I already spoke to Ben about this. Ann, who lives in the S curve, and Todd knows who I'm talking about. I was going on a trip about a month ago and somebody had dumped a pickup load of trash on the side of the road in the S curve, kind of near the bridge where she can't see it, but it's still her property. And I called Public Works and said, hey, a couple of potholes need to be taken care of. Somebody dumped trash at the S curve. Can y'all get that picked up? Came back from my trip and I started getting phone calls from a bunch of people saying, did you hear what happened to Ann? I'm like, no. They said code enforcement wrote her up for trash in the ditch. And I said, are you kidding me? They wrote her up for trash that she did not dump or put there. So that was kind of a little excessive, and the city drove out there to write her up. They should have just picked it up, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, I just saw somebody talk about it on a road talk, similar thing in their alley. There's a bunch of brush, it's not theirs, and the city wrote them up for it. So just keep in mind that not everything that goes on is somebody else's fault. Like I said, we've had a lot of people dump dogs and trash out there. So, you know, when we call a city and it's a pickup load, she wouldn't dump a pickup load of trash on her own property in the ditch. It doesn't make no sense. So they should have sent Public Works out there and picked that up. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Rob,
Thank you. Rob Shamel, 121 Fawn Ridge. Just two quick items. I think we're pushing this off to a different month officially, but I just want to let it be known that we love our library and this is Love Your Library Month. So I just wanted to make that known and make that statement. I think we're pushing it off due to LS&S pushing that. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up is I want the city staff and the board to keep in mind our push to at least review the topics of the contract for the library. I know time's getting tight for when you have to tell them that you're not going to renew it, but it may be at least take into consideration not signing a 5-year contract or looking to a shorter year so the city management can have the proper amount of time to review all the facts and possibly take control of the library themselves. I know we didn't give much notice prior to when that decision needs to be made. It needs to be made in March, I believe, before the end of March. But would really appreciate the city continuing to look into that contract and, you know, whether or not we feel or the city feels that they can handle that on their own. I know we have a lot of citizens and, you know, a lot of support for the library, and, you know, we just want to make sure that the city does their due diligence to make sure that we're providing for the citizens correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
For that, appreciate it.
Steve?
Good evening. I'm also up here to say a few words about the Red Oak Public Library. Name is Steve Hilton. Address is 308 Bob White, Red Oak. And also want to say a few words about the library. I know that the library it's still fairly new here. It's been here a couple of years, and some things have been outsourced to an outside vendor. A lot of things, including like payroll, HR type duties, but it's much more than that. It's also like controls what the library can and can't have. The people running the library here in town can't even decide what books they want to have in the library. Instead, that's being decided by a company based in California and Maryland. So you have no control over your own public library here. And our taxpayer dollars are going to fund this. And that contract's coming up for renewal later this year. This company, they help get things off the ground, LS&S, but their services appreciated the past couple of years, but not needed going forward. I mean, you know, there's like 3 or 4 employees in the whole library. It's not like we're running the Pentagon here or something. Okay. I mean, the city can handle payroll and all things HR and anything else. But I mean, like my family, my mom and brother have each written a few books. I can't even donate those to the library. It's not up to anybody here to accept them. I mean, it's just a lot of little things like that. But basically you have no, you have no control over your own library here. It's all outsourced to a company that's in Maryland and California that's making the decisions for you. So anyway, I just wanted to make that pitch. And also the monthly library report is not on the agenda tonight. I don't know the last time it wasn't on the agenda. And it's kind of convenient that it's got pulled from the agenda tonight right before it's supposed to be decided whether or not to renew the contract. So anyway, that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Lassiter, you want to speak on the item 12 and 13, is that correct? So I did receive your paperwork and I'll bring you up then. Okay, 11. Ten through 13, okay. Okay. Okay, so yeah, and we'll do that all at one public hearing, so, okay. But I did receive your thing, so I'm not ignoring it. Okay, council, can we proceed? So we are at a time for consent agenda. Consent agenda are items that are considered routine in nature and may be acted upon in one motion. Any item that requires additional discussion may be withdrawn from the consent agenda by myself, council member, or city manager, and acted upon separately. Consent agenda items are stuff that we've been versed on before, or that are reoccurring, or is there anything that might need to be pulled? And this would be items 1 through 6. sir?
No items, Mr. Mayor.
Entertain a motion to approve consent agenda item 1 through 6. Councilman Miller.
Second.
Second was Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Goodwin, aye. Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0. Item 7, consider adoption of resolution 25-011R, the city council, city of Red Oak, Texas, ordering for a general election to be held May 3rd, 2025, for the purpose of electing 3 council members to the Red Oak City Council for place 2, place 4, place 5, for 3-year terms, establishing procedures for said election, designating the location of a polling place, a vote center, designating filing deadlines, designating presiding election judge and alternate presiding election judge, providing for the publication and posting of notice, providing for authorization to enter into a joint election contract for the election services with Ellis County to conduct such elections, providing a severability clause and providing an effective date. Any other information that needs to be on this? Okay, so if we don't call this, then Goodwin has to stay on for a bit. Okay. Wait for him. Yeah, what did he say? Yeah. Okay, entertain the motion. Does anybody have questions on this resolution?
No question.
None here.
All right, entertain a motion to adopt resolution 25-011R.
So move. Second.
Okay, Goodwin. Lightfoot. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller, I.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0. Item 8, consider approval of ordinance number 25-005, City of Red Oak, Texas, designating the intersection of East Red Oak Road, North Lawrence Road, and Pierce Road as an all-way stop intersection, providing for the installation of additional stop signs and providing for enforcement and establishing an effective date.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you so much for having me tonight. We received several phone calls, concerns from our citizens and non-citizens alike that travel through Lawrence, Pierce, and Red Oak Road intersection every day, as well as PD receiving some of these calls as well. We performed a traffic study along with help from police department as well, running their traffic trailer out there, capturing speeds, as well as acquiring data such as crashes, speeding tickets given, and alike. We determined that during peak times, this was a traffic study done during the school year, that eastbound traffic on Red Oak Road was on average 3,100 vehicles per day with a peak of 408 vehicles per hour. Westbound traffic on Pierce Road approaching the intersection was about 2,600 vehicles per day with a peak of 432 vehicles per hour. And then the northbound traffic on Lawrence on average was about 1,200 vehicles per day. However, it saw nearly the same hourly peak at 325 vehicles per hour. In accordance with the Texas Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, Section 2B07, any intersection that exceeds more than 300 vehicles per hour from all directions should be looked at in depth for additional traffic control measures. And that's where we paired this with the traffic crashes and speeding tickets, and actually determined that on Pierce Road, just east of this intersection, we actually saw a peak speed of 80 miles per hour at one point during this. So cooking. Public Works staff along with PD both have agreed that it is our opinion that this intersection warrants an always stop with additional advanced warnings beforehand. So we are proposing to install stop signs always, as well as the stop sign ahead signs. And then for 6 months after the installation of these signs, we would also have warning signs indicating that there's a new traffic pattern at the intersection from all directions.
Is that a flashing thing? At the-
It would not be, however, it could be. We also looked at the potential for installing a your speed sign permanently east on Pierce, and that cost would be about $1,500 per speed feedback sign, with an annual fee after that. And then we can do the flashers. They were $150 per sign.
Is that just on top of those yellow?
Yeah, it would just be a flashing yellow beacon with little battery.
I think it's probably worth it to do that.
Agreed.
You know, at least east and west.
Mm-hmm.
Coming north, I mean, there's already
You
stop.
should be
sign
used to
there.
it, yeah.
And would we not do, is that a private drive straight across?
It is a private drive. It doesn't connect anything in the north. We could very well install a stop sign, but you should already be stopping there as you're entering a public right of way from a private drive.
Have we ever looked at the solar powered flashing lights around the stop sign? What
Yes, and
costs
those are about $1,200 to $1,400 a piece. They're not terribly expensive, but it's definitely something that we could look at more in depth.
Okay. Any questions, council? Any other?
Just a technical question that council just brought up. Where is it Red Oak Road versus Pierce Road? I know the lane here is labeled as Pierce Road. Is it still technically Red Oak Road?
It is
until a
Red
point
Oak
of that-
Road until the
Until
intersection.
the intersection?
Yes, and that's where it switches over to Pierce Road. And then if you go down Lawrence a little bit, Pierce Road
Pierce Road picks up again.
picks up again.
Yeah.
You cross 342 and now it's Pierce Street.
Interesting.
So,
Yep. I knew that there was something with Red Oak Road, Pierce Road right in that area.
Yep.
That's not messy at all, right?
What's the block?
I would have to verify that is East Red Oak Road. And I'm not sure of the block number
Are
off the
you
top of my
afraid
head.
we won't get the written word?
It will be.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm asking.
Okay. I will say, I mean, that might, you know, knowing that that's a private road, I still think I'd put a stop sign there.
Can think there's one.
Bob, can we
enforce
it on a private road? So they don't have
One
to
of the
stop?
elements of the offense, it has to be on a public street or highway within the jurisdiction limits of the city. It's not a public street or highway, so you can.
Okay, so,
You could put a sign up, you just couldn't write a ticket.
yeah, okay, so they don't actually have to stop, they can keep on going, they have right of way, since there's a stop on three sides. I'm looking for my police department then.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's private
Yeah.
drive. They'd have to
Yield drive.
stop.
Who stops at the end of their driveway? No one does. If it's clear, you
I'm
back
staying
up.
away from your.
I think it's yield though, so.
Yeah, okay,
It's yield.
okay,
So
well,
these yellow signs that are 100 feet, those are the warnings? Is it for 6
Yeah,
months?
so it's just telling you there's a stop sign coming up. Those will be permanent.
Permanent.
And they're 200 feet away from the stop sign. And then another 200 feet out, we would put new traffic pattern ahead signs. They'd be yellow as well, but those can only stay up for 6 months. And then we will install, if we don't do the beacons or in conjunction with the beacons, the orange flags. But again, those are only allowable for 6 months.
Why don't we just do away at Pierce and make it all Red Oak Road? That's confusing.
It's confusing for the police to write the ticket and or to do the complaints too. That's why I asked what the block was, because it has to. I would prefer that we have it in the ordinance, but I'll correct it so that it's.
so it reflects the block.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can still vote on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The only other thing is if you make a motion is to put the correct block number for Red Oak Road, and it needs a penalty clause of $200, because transportation code only gives authority to, there's a maximum fine for a traffic violation of $200, and it has to be in the ordinance. I'll make those two corrections, Mayor, and then we can vote on it.
Okay, entertain, so does anybody have any other questions with this?
Those intersections needed to be addressed for a while, so.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 25 2025 with those corrections
So moved.
provided by legal. And that's Councilman Smith and Councilman Lightfoot. Sorry. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Bidford.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
Okay, so. Okay, so this is a new concept that's kind of coming up, and this is going to be conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 25-006, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the code of ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from Plan Development 41 revised 4 PD 41 R4 to Plan Development 41 revised 5 PD 41 R5 by amending the development regulations to allow for the development of an accessory drone delivery use on the property identified as Lot 1, Block A of the Walmart Red Oak Edition and addressed as 100 Ryan Drive, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Mr. Hartman.
Okay, so this is for the Walmart site. They've already got PD zoning, and so we are adjusting the site plan, so we've got to bring this back before you guys for approval. And in addition to changing the site plan, we are adding a use that we don't currently have defined, which is drone delivery. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this at other stores. There's one near my house that has drone delivery. But it's set up in the parking lot, whereas this one, the proposal is to create a space here in this green space for the drones to dock and be loaded and charged. So to the site plan. It will be located on the west side of the building, on the other side of the drive aisle. You got the pharmacy on one side, and then the drone docking stations will be on this side. The Walmart staff will take orders, bring them out to the drone pit area and load them up for delivery. I will let the folks from Walmart and Zipline talk more about maybe some of their technical aspects. I'm mainly just explaining the zoning aspects here. So the working with staff, we came up with a plan to try and minimize the sight line of this with fencing and landscaping around it, as well as planting more trees in front of it. The Planning and Zoning Commission, the original fencing style was just going to be a black kind of decorative wrought iron metal. But the Planning and Zoning Commission approved it with the suggestion that they utilize the same fencing that's on the other side of the store to match. So their recommendation was to approve with the fence matching the other side. As far as the site and the use goes, that's all I really have. If the developers of Zipline and Walmart are here, and they do have a presentation that they would like to go over.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Ryan Trimble, 8912 Lock Haven Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75238. Thank you so much for having me. I'm here on behalf of Walmart this evening. Really a pleasure to be back here. Was here last week, and really great to be back in your community. You know, it's an exciting time here in Red Oak, and our Walmart team is really pleased to be a part of the community here. I did want to introduce our store manager, Neil Vaz, is here with us tonight. Neil is an outstanding store manager. I've worked with him on multiple projects. He's fairly new to the store, but has been here and has been getting after it and making sure delivery is growing and all sorts of things are moving at the store. It's looking great. I was just over there before I came over tonight. But you know, along with one of our great DFW store leaders, Walmart has been chosen, or the Red Oak community has been chosen by Walmart for this exclusive opportunity to have drone delivery. You may be asking, well, why the heck is drone delivery so important? To understand that, I got to tell you about Girl Scout cookies. Okay. As many of you know, it is Girl Scout cookie season. I have an 8-year-old. She is selling Girl Scout cookies. If you need some, if you need a fix, come find me afterwards, please. Ready to get rid of those things. But we were out this weekend selling Girl Scout cookies and going door to door, teaching her to be an entrepreneur. And my wife, who is also a proud Girl Scout alum, said, you know, when I was a girl, I would have to go out and sell them. And then I have to wait 5 or 6 weeks and I have to go deliver them. And it was this really nice, nostalgic moment until my daughter said, why in the world would anybody wait 6 weeks for cookies? And, you know, I really think that this speaks to kind of the thought, the thought pattern and the thought process that consumers have these days of like, why am I going to wait for something that I can get now? You know, it's no longer acceptable to wait even 30 minutes for a lot of people. So, you know, of course, the pandemic sped up this trend and there's a lot of different reasons for this trend happening. But in Red Oak, what we're seeing, and Neil and I were talking about this, the trend for grocery delivery is up over 20% just since October. So these kind of services are really, really important. They're important to your residents, is what we're seeing in the data. And it's one of the reasons that we chose Red Oak to expand this service. Another reason, though, is, you know, I really think this is going to help the quality of life in your city here. You know, if you think about the various use cases, one of them that comes to mind was I remember being just terrified and just so down when it was, you know, it was late and we have kids. Of course, I have a daughter and I have a son, and there was a diaper change and we were out of diapers and ointment cream and I had to get up. I was exhausted. I had to go to the store. It would have been great if I could have had a drone just drop the ointment right on the doorstep. But you know, all of us have parents and maybe elderly parents. Sometimes they get sick. It would be great just to drop the medicine right on their doorstep. So we can go on. We've got the folks from Kimley Horn and folks from Zipline here to share a little bit, but I just want to say thank you again. This is really exciting and an exclusive opportunity for Red Oak. So I'll hang around and answer questions, but turn it over to Kimley Horn.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Carolyn Cook with Kimley Horn. Address is 6160 Warren Parkway in Frisco. I'm the civil engineer for the project, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to kind of walk you through the site plan and see if you have any questions. Put this into So, as mentioned by staff, we're placing the drone delivery over here in the current pickup area to minimize any impacts to the main parking. Associates will utilize the same path they take to deliver pickup now to come out of the kind of pickup expansion we did a few years ago out the door, and then they will load into one of the 2 delivery docks. And then there are 7 other charging docks over in that same area. We're not reducing any of the parking in the main parking field. We are reducing by a couple spaces here in the pickup area to provide additional associate pathways for safe travel. Also, in addition to the screening that was mentioned, we are placing landscaping and shrubs also around that ornamental fence to kind of soften the fence and further screen from the adjacent sides. We would like to go ahead and install, as P&Z requested, they want it to look like the garden center. We would like to install the masonry along the columns, but for this use and in addition to the shrubs, we would like to not install kind of the short CMU knee wall as well, because that will be hidden by the shrubs, so that won't be visible anyway. With that, are there any site plan questions that I can answer before I hand it over to Connor? I will let Connor from Zipline answer that question for you. He has a whole presentation on how Zipline works. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, well then I'll hand it over to Connor. Thank you.
All righty. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Connor Wilkinson representing Zipline. All right. We're going to skip past a couple slides that we've already gone through. All right. So you may have seen Zipline either at some of our sites and construction throughout the area or in local news. So Dallas Morning News, Princeton Herald, Kaufman Herald. So as we're going out and doing these presentations, folks are seeing the technology and how we're changing lives. We tend to get a lot of earned media just recognizing our technology and what we're bringing to Dallas-Fort Worth. So Zipline is the world's largest drone delivery service. We've completed over 1.3 now million commercial drone deliveries. And right now, somebody in the world gets a drone delivery roughly every 60 seconds. So you can see since we submitted these slides only a couple of weeks ago, that data is already out of date. And then you kind of get a good idea of our overall worldwide presence here with Red Oak highlighted just underneath Dallas-Fort Worth. We believe you guys deserve a little bit of special attention to call out there. Zipline helps communities every day. So when we talk to consumers and folks that receive deliveries, they routinely mention how time-saving it is for them. I was recently speaking to a Walmart customer up in Arkansas, and she mentioned that she was having a dinner party. She forgot a couple of ingredients. She jumped on the Zipline app, had them to her yard in under 13 minutes. So she never had to turn off the oven or the burner, never skipped a beat, walked to the backyard, grabbed the items she forgot, and kept making them. Some of our studies have also shown that we can increase road safety by reducing traffic while providing more economic opportunities for the businesses that we serve and overall improved access to goods. So that's across over-the-counter items as well as grocery and other items. All right, we'll see if this will play here. Excellent. So how does it work? So items get loaded into the delivery droid, which is what you see there. The delivery droid then goes up into the Zip. The Zip is what we call the main drone. So right now you're seeing the droid go into the Zip. Zip has already started several hundred automated pre-flight safety checks, as well as planning a route to the delivery site. You'll see it's going to undock, and then it'll do what we call the C maneuver. So it goes back, and then it'll start going up, and then it'll go over the top of the dock to climb out. This means that we're not climbing directly over parking lot or traffic. Goes all the way up to 300 feet, stays at 300 feet, flies to the delivery site about 70 miles an hour. And the cool part is it's staying at over 30 stories in the air at the delivery site. Just the delivery droid comes down, and then using its onboard system of fans and perception, it's able to make a precise delivery and then gently lower those products into the yard. So here in just a moment, we'll see a consumer go and grab their package, and then off they go. Excellent. All right. So to answer your question, Councilman Goodwin, the aircraft's maximum capability is about 8 pounds. So about 8 pounds up to about a 10-mile service radius, which is that red ring that you're seeing. We'll initially start operations within a 2-mile service radius, which is the blue inner ring that you're seeing there. As I mentioned, up to about 70 miles an hour, wingspan of about 8 feet. So our delivery droid has been called cute several times, but we believe that it is also quite mighty in its capabilities as far as how much it can carry both in volume and weight. We carry everything from food, electronics, grocery, health, and wellness. We do this because our droid is able to keep hot things hot and cold things cold. And 8 pounds of brisket sounds pretty fun to be delivered via droid. So. All righty. And Zips, question that we get is, what is this? What's the impact? And really, we've designed the Zips to fit into the neighborhood and the communities that we serve. Many of us live and work here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So to give you some sample measurements, during undocking at the maximum payload, a Zip is measured at about roughly 64 decibels, which if we look at our reference chart is coming in somewhere a little less than a normal conversation. And during delivery, with the Zip staying at 300 feet at the delivery site, you're looking at just around 60 decibels or under, which is about half as loud as a reference, which is between a normal conversation and a lawnmower. So overall, deliveries are quieter than like a passing delivery truck. And just call out here to our safety and standards. So Zipline has flown over 90 million autonomous miles. We do this because we design, test, operate, and fly all of our own aircraft. We've built the system, as I mentioned, to have a 2-part architecture to fit into the environment while providing a safe delivery experience. We rigorously test the aircraft in a variety of conditions at our test ranches, including snow, which is what you're seeing here on this picture, I know we got some of that a couple weeks ago, but we, normally do not anticipate getting much of it here in Dallas Fort Worth, but we do test in those conditions. We're licensed airline essentially with the FAA. So we certify and train all of our operators and maintenance technicians to that same standard. And then lastly, the aircraft completes over 500 automated pre-flight safety checks, and it continues to run them while flying. So while airborne, it's continuing to check its systems. So Zips use Zipline's technology called Flight IQ, which is our autonomy and perception suite. This makes flights safer and smarter. So overall, the system is designed for delivery purposes. We apply industry standard tools to blur faces or any sort of visual data. This tool allows us to make those precise deliveries, even in high winds, and understand when the environment changes. So if there's a new branch, tree, dog, or kid that runs out, we're able to make that delivery safe. Overall, this is a rendering that kind of gives a sample as to what some of the site infrastructure can look like. So over on the left side, you'll see a single dock structure, and on the right side is a double dock structure. This just allows us to either dock 1 or 2 aircraft. Below the single dock structure is what's called a portal. This just allows for the easiest loading of the droid. Cool. And lastly, we just want to hit on community engagement. So when Zipline gets closer to launching the community, we reach out to folks like our first responders, so police and fire, so they understand, what is going on in their communities, how does the aircraft work, what is the underlying technologies, as well as we engage the community. We believe the first time people, hear about Zipline should not be because they see their neighbor getting a delivery, but because we've been at city events, community events, we've done tabling at the Walmart. Additionally, we send some postcards to folks within the delivery area with the intention of informing them what does the aircraft look like and what is it there to do. And then the last part is we really enjoy going into school systems. So you'll see in some of these pictures, everything from elementary school, middle school, and high school. We talk about the underlying technologies, the impact for the world, and then careers. So in the bottom left, you'll see a note from a 3rd grader in Arkansas that wrote us and said, "Thank you for coming in. I like how you're not just trying to change the world, but you're actually doing something to change the world," which I think is pretty powerful. It calls back to a lot of our experience in Africa saving lives. All right. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your time and see if y'all have any questions.
Excellent. How many Walmarts are you operating in now?
Good question. So we currently have 1 Walmart in Arkansas, and then we have several under construction in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
How much did this service cost the customer?
That's a good question. I will pass that over to Walmart.
We've been looking at the data on this right now. It's $0 for Walmart Plus members. I believe it's either $12.95 or $17.95 right now for non-Walmart Plus members, but it's changing a lot. We're trying to find the right spot on that.
And what are the hours of delivery?
9 to 5 right now, but when daylight savings time changes, we don't launch too early to avoid, waking people up, even though they're super quiet. And then when the sun's up longer, we can deliver longer. I don't believe that we'll go past like 7 or 7:15 at the latest, right? Right now with this round. If that changes, of course, we'll come back and brief y'all on that request.
Do you have operators flying these things, or is that just automatic?
Great question. So the aircraft overall is fully autonomous. However, there's a human in the loop. So there's somebody who's overseeing the actual aircraft. So looking at the telemetry data coming off of it, as well as the overall airspace. So they're essentially a operator there for safety, but they're not like physically using joysticks or anything like that.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if this is for a closed session or not, but I would like to hear from fire and PD on their concerns, if they have any.
Sure. Well, let's do that public hearing first, and then I think we can ask that question.
Yes, sir.
We got more questions. Can we ask?
Sure, go ahead.
You said it hold 8 pounds of items.
Mhm.
How heavy is this 8-foot drone?
That's a great question. So the maximum weight would be somewhere around like the 65-pound range.
65 pounds flying overhead?
Yeah, so I think that we'll come back to,
Wide.
yeah, so we'll come back to a couple of elements here, which I think are important. So the aircraft is designed for safety. So not only have we done, millions of miles overall Zipline as a company. The aircraft has multiple redundancies built in. So including not only can it detect a fault before it happens, like vibrations, it's indicating something's wrong, go back to a dock. Let's say that we, lose a single motor or something like that. The aircraft is designed to continue flying, even in some cases where there's two motors out. And then, worst case scenario, if the aircraft either automatically needs to deploy it or airspace authorities like the FAA tell us that we need to get aircraft out of the airspace, there's a full airframe parachute that deploys and then brings the aircraft down quite gently.
So any event that fails, who's responsible for damaging property? Walmart or Zipline?
Good question. So ultimately, Zipline is the operator. So the FAA does require that, we're responsible just like United Airlines or Delta or anybody like that. So we do have a full suite of business insurance. As of this time, we've never had to make a claim against our
But you
insurance
only have
policy.
one store, all right?
So we have one store with Walmart. We also have additional sites in the United States with other partners. And then internationally, we have many, many sites.
Well, you said it's 300 feet up. Do we have buildings 300 feet? The high school maybe? That's not even 300?
That's 30.
30 stories?
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about it hitting a building.
Yeah. So another element of that is, I know the slide deck's not up anymore, but that system called Flight IQ, the intention of it is to understand the airspace and the ground space. So it understands what the obstacles are in the area that it's operating in.
Okay, so this is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing at 7:58. Thank you, sir, sirs and ma'am. 7:58.
And they were just responses to our letters that we sent out, just saying, Doyle Elmore, 106 Sunglow Loop, he was 4. Betty Franks, 109 Sunglow Loop, she was 4. And Doyle Elmore, 115 Sunglow Loop, also 4.
And where is that?
That's to the north.
Okay, so the closest neighbors are not opposed to this.
I'm sorry. They're here to, just to the east.
Yeah, we don't see you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you see it now?
Okay.
Here's Sunglow Loop.
Yeah, okay.
Here's, and then the site's right here.
Yeah, and so the letters were sent out based on a 200-foot
Radius, correct.
for the zoning change or the,
Correct.
okay.
Correct.
All right, so since this public hearing is open, is there anyone that wishes to speak on and or against this aspect? Please come up and identify yourself.
Sean Flannery, 1631 Stayback Road, Red Oak, Texas. I just have a question. I'm not opposed to it. I didn't hear in the presentation about remote ID. How can we get our law enforcement who also operate drones to have connection to the remote ID that's in those birds that's required by the FAA? So that if they have to fly a bird in an instant, that they have that information in front of them. I just have that question.
Okay. And we'll get to that in here in just a second.
Probably have two of the most experienced people in the room here. Sean,
Go ahead.
we're both drone pilots. We're licensed by FAA.
Go ahead and
So-
state your name anyway.
Chris Moses,
Just
120 Stayback
Yeah,
Court, Red Oak,
thank you.
Texas. Sorry.
Yeah,
Anyway, like he said, remote ID is a question. We do have crop dusters that come through this area pretty fast. We have medical helicopters that come through this area all the time. We also have Lancaster Airport. 400 feet is the height that you can go to max with the drone according to FAA rules. If they're at 300 feet, they're going to avoid most obstacles. But if I'm up with the drone, for example, mine's a pretty big drone. What is the odds of them hitting that thing? Does their system know it? Because they're not going to be like I am. I have to be line of sight. So does Sean. We have to be line of sight when it comes to drone usage. We have to see the drone. We have to know where it's at, what's around it. But if they're controlling from Walmart 2-3 miles out, there is no line of sight. So that would be my concern.
Okay.
Thank you.
You might be able to answer that here too. So. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay, so let's close this public hearing, then we'll let you kind of tackle this. Entertain a motion at 8:01 to close.
So moved.
Second.
Franklin, good one. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
That one I.
Miller, I.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
Yeah, that's 5-0. We're closed. Yes, sir. So
Alrighty, just to address those 2 points that were brought up. So the aircraft are fully remote ID compliant. The Zipline also, we lead the charge with the FAA in defining the standards for sharing airspace. We have currently developed, and we were the first FAA authorized provider to use what's called unmanned traffic management, which is a methodology for multiple unmanned vehicles, so multiple drones, including law enforcement, to share the same airspace. There are standards that also include airspace prioritization based off like first responders having higher priority than like a rotisserie chicken being delivered. So overall, we are fully compliant with all standards and actually help to set those standards and encourage their adoption.
okay.
Under the current setup you have with Walmart, how many drones at any given time could be in the air? What's the maximum?
Yeah, that's
I
a
know that could change if as demand.
yeah, it's kind of tricky to answer. So there's only like 2 loading docks at this Walmart. So it would ultimately
Single stage,
sorry, say that again.
single stage.
Yeah, so the loading docks are single.
Well, you showed pictures of double.
Yeah, so there's some double docks and some single docks
Okay.
at this Walmart. The loading docks are single docks, so you could only like load theoretically 2 at a time, depending on the actual like flight paths, right? If multiple are out, I would say like technically the site can hold 20, but I would imagine it's roughly half of that would be the absolute maximum that could be airborne across like the area based off the cycle times, if that makes sense.
So 10 to 20 in that 10-mile radius.
Yeah, I would expect closer to 10, could be airborne. And then they're not all like coming back or landing or anything at the same time. So,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Council, any questions for him? Okay, now, Councilman Franklin, do you want to talk to fire and?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you, sir. Fire, PD, if you have any concerns or any comments, I would love to hear those.
Yes, sir. As you and Councilman Smith had addressed, I know when we first heard about this, we had went back and did some research, Fire Marshal Diaz and I. And like the gentleman was saying with the repetitive motors that they have, having something that heavy in the air, possibly falling on somebody on a bicycle or a car or whatever. And so that was some of our concerns as well. We looked and they have that repetitive fail safe in there along with the parachutes. And so that kind of addressed some of our concerns in that aspect, and looking at what we could find on them, it seemed very safe. We didn't find any concerns that stood out. They weren't already addressed.
Have you had an opportunity to physically inspect the drone?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay.
The concerns that we express have been addressed. We have no future concerns.
Okay, and have you had an opportunity to inspect the drone?
No.
Okay.
So I guess the one question I'd say is, so how long has it been in, I guess mothership, Bentonville? Is that where it is?
Yeah, so Zipline has been operating with Walmart since 2021, just outside Bentonville. So the specific city is called Pea Ridge, Arkansas.
All right.
One last question, Mr. Mayor. It's for staff. May I see the radius? I think I've seen a 2-mile radius or something in one of the presentations. May I see that again?
Yeah, so one of the questions that I had, Councilman Franklin, when they first came in, was obviously the Lancaster Airport, but more importantly for us was our heliport. Because I don't want to have to, every time they have a bottle of Tylenol being dropped somewhere, I don't want to have to sit down and authorize them to fly the drone within X feet of the heliport. So when we met with them, they were looking at the 2 mile radius to be their operating radius. Now, technically, they have the ability to go 10 miles, but from what I understood, we were doing 2 miles because I don't want to have to mess around with that heliport.
So was this an agreement or will this be ordinance?
From what they have told us is they're starting out with a 2 mile radius with the ability to go up to 10 miles. Is there anything different than that?
Bob, you might want to clarify what we're actually voting on specifically.
Yeah,
there.
you're
Yeah.
voting on the use of the dock and the launch site. I have in the past written ordinance. And that ordinance has to be sent. I've done it for some other cities up near DFW Airport. And the FAA has to approve an ordinance if we limit drone operations in the city. Like, can they operate in the city park, those kind of things, launch? Because they have to get permission from air traffic control in order to operate. So if there's concerns that Mr. Moses or Mr. Flattery have a drone in the air, they're supposed to be cleared by FAA where that drone's operating. So they've got operational constraints. They won't let them launch those without their approval, because you have to notify them. To the police department, if they need that airspace for public safety purposes, they will not be able to launch, because they'll shut the airspace down. We don't have any controls about operation over city parks. They're not supposed to operate over our city parks or our immediate airspace unless they have our permission, like where the water tower is, the switching station for Encore, those kind of things. So they have those constraints, but they're all federally protected. And even if we write an ordinance over drone operations, the FAA has to approve it. I have never sent one and never got it back. So I have them in several other cities, and we enforce them because I did the only thing I could, and that's to send them to the FAA. So, but that's a different subject for a different time.
For someone concerned with the heliport, I am eminently qualified. I'm about 100 yards from that puppy. And 19 out of 20 times they're coming in and doing touch and goes. They're not anything emergency or anything about it. So this is state of the art, folks. It's coming. It's what's in the future. And I feel sort of privileged that Walmart would select this city as a test. I don't really think it's a test. I think it's well-proven technology, and it will help our people it'll take people off the streets and help them get the things they need in their homes.
Is the heliport actually in our city or?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you better believe it.
So from that standpoint, that I've seen where cities have heliports, or they used to have medical transfer for care flight. They don't use those sites anymore because of other issues. So they've turned them into drone ports. So they have drone operations out there for.
Somebody who's eminently qualified with casualties in helicopters. You ought to be there about 1 o'clock at night when somebody comes in. So,
Yeah, you don't want to be.
All right, so just two things to add. So the plan is to launch with a 2 mile service radius, but we have the technical capability to expand to the 10. And then to address any sort of airspace, we do work very closely with the FAA. There's FAA regulations that keep the offset from things like heliports, airports that actually prevent us from flying or being too close to those. Additionally, our onboard technology detects and avoids aircraft. We want a very safe environment. I myself am a qualified commercial pilot, so I'm very passionate about airspace safety as well. So I really believe in the technology. I have been a controller for Zipline as well, but to actually oversee like the airspace separation, and I'm very confident in the FAA rules as well as the internal checks that are in place.
Sure. I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have to do any additional, should this be approved, our public awareness to the community to bring them up to date
Great question. So there's kind of two elements to that. So Zipline does take on, well, that's quite zoomed in, quite a bit of the workload there as far as community engagement, to attend city events, to do tabling outside of the Walmart, to educate folks on what is coming, as well as our comms team will have an introduction with the city comms to discuss the paths to make sure that folks, you know, are aware of the service. Absolutely.
So, this is thank you, sir. So Ben, so the recommendation though from P and Z was to have that brick down below, right?
They just said match the other side, so
Columns.
the picture,
I think it's fence material.
yes.
Concrete columns and material, but not necessarily that pony wall?
Not necessarily the pony wall, it was more just make it look more like the other side.
Cause you're gonna have bushes and
Right.
landscaping at the bottom.
So, yeah, so if it, yeah, so imagine all these propane tanks in these bags are bushes.
Yeah.
You're not gonna see
Yeah,
the bottom.
and I'm fine with that. I didn't know if they had made that recommendation and their motion was
It,
to
it
have
wasn't,
that.
it was just match the other side.
Yeah, so I guess the height security aspect.
Yeah, so the height, I would assume would remain the same, which was 8. We had 8-foot max on here.
Okay. So what level is the landing pad? How high is that?
It's above that. I don't have the exact dimensions. Do you have exact dimensions of the height?
It was on the presentation.
So it's, but
Yeah,
it's
they
up
have
to
tipped
3
off
stories
3.
tall or something.
28 feet for the
28
double
feet.
docks.
Correct. So 28 feet would be the maximum on the double docks, and then a single dock structure is closer to about 22 feet. And then I believe Walmart wanted to make a mention of the fence as well.
Simply going to say, yeah, in the spirit of what the P and Z said, you know, we heard loud and clear. We want it to look nice. We're not going to put chain link up there. You know, we're going to work with it. I would say the one thing about, you know, the low fence versus, you know,
The
to
pony
the
wall?
stanchions, we want to be able to, I know Zipline's going to want to be able to service it. The technology is advancing rapidly. So if there is a little bit of flexibility on that, you know, that would be great, but we're not going to make it look like junk. We're going to make it look nice.
What is your requirement, like, I noticed on that flat plan area? Waxahachie Walmart was real close, Lancaster Walmart's in there. Is this just gonna be, can you only do one? Like Red Oak only, you can't go to where Lancaster Walmart get it, cause that's another 20 drones gonna be flying overhead.
Oh,
overlap that.
Well, they overlap.
oh, okay. I
'Cause
see
that-
what
that
you're saying.
10-mile radius went all the way up to almost Camp Wisdom on 20. If there's 2 or 3 Walmarts in there that have this.
Yeah, I mean, what I can say is, and I don't know what the list currently looks like as far as, you know, specifics on Lancaster or any other area ones. I know, Waxahachie is, you know, site that's under consideration and they're looking at it. What I would say is it's, yeah, I think this is going to be managed properly. I don't think you're going to see a lot of different drones coming over here. There's not a single flight path, you know, it's not like living next to an airport. It's randomized. I mean, I think that it's all going to be, I think it's going to impact the quality of life more than you might think because it's going to take cars off the road. I think you're not going to really pay attention to the drones. A lot of these are, you know, when I see some of these drones now, it's like some people aren't even paying attention to them because they're so quiet. They're just kind of part of the environment now. So, I hope that answered your question. I'm not trying to dodge it.
Well, I guess the way I'd probably answer it is, it doesn't matter if all the Walmarts are there, because they're just gonna start restricting their zone of deliverance. Type,
Yeah, they may all go down to 2 miles or a
yeah,
mile. or
yeah,
whatever.
I mean, correct? I mean, I mean, that's not a big deal.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
huh?
think
Or
that's,
availability.
oh, sorry. What did you have
Or
another question?
availability.
Availability?
Yeah, in other words, if Walmart and Red Oak is out of a particular product, but they have it in Waxahachie and it's within that 10-mile radius, do they cross over? I mean, that's
That's a great question that I'm not sure that we've specifically worked out with Walmart at this time. But overall, right, there's actually a point where you get enough demand that you have to shrink your radius back to be able to like serve folks in the area.
Yeah, so I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 25-006 with all the.
Yeah, one of the things that Mr. Franklin indicated that he had some maybe long-term, so I made a recommendation to him that he may want to offer to you, the council, a sunset provision so we can see how it works. If everything comes back, we'll just renew it. And definitely at that point.
I would probably.
Zoning of a.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
but they have to come back through the process. You get another look at it. And you have to have a reason to take it away. So it's not, you're not.
So we'll tell them they can build this.
Yeah,
And then
I
in
don't
a year, 2
like
years,
that.
whatever it is, that
I
they
would
can, they have to come
recommend
back
that
here
you
to be
allow
able
them
to.
to give them enough time to recoup their investment.
Okay.
Because if it's not cost effective for them to do it, market, they won't do it. But
Alright.
if it is, you may want it to expand. So if you limit it or put a sunset, you can at least bring it back and we'll look at it again. Make sure it's compatible with the community for this use.
Well, I don't like that in the sense they're here, that's probably not an inexpensive venture for them. And if we're sitting here and we're saying that it's a good thing, let's approve it, and they're gonna do all they can do to keep it updated and
I'm
the
not
partnership with it.
advocating for or against it. I'm
I
offering.
know, I'm just saying,
They just take it to another Walmart if they don't.
yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, I do appreciate that advice, and I do support that. Reason being, yes, it's an excellent idea. Yes, we're being proactive, and making sure we are up with the times, the current times, but we also want to make sure that we are doing what's best for the city with the infrastructure that's coming. So I do want council to consider that. I think this is a great idea. I think it's a very forward-thinking idea. But one thing about being one of the first to do it, everyone looks at you and live off of your mistakes.
Can I mean, I just want to be sure I understand the situation that we're in to go on with what you're saying. So they can operate this service without us. All they're here for is to say they want to put the building that this is managed out of on Walmart's property in this little area.
Mhm.
So if the Waxahachie store did approve it and the drones went in, we'd have these same drones over Red Oak within that 10-mile radius of, assuming we're in the radius. So I mean, it's not the drone operation, we have no control over at all, right? That's all FAA regulate. All we have say over is Walmart building this little structure
Mhm.
and looking the way that we want it to look.
Which
So
I think
I'm
it does
worried,
based
so I'm
on-
worried about saying, yes, you can do that, but you gotta come back in X number of years to see if you can still keep it or not.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm worried about. I don't know that we've done that to anybody before. And I don't know I don't know how we calculate the recoup
did
cost
with
if we say it's,
churches.
you gotta do it after you've recouped
Yeah,
your costs.
you had some, and there have been to allow a church in a strip mall, for example, in order to
Okay.
occupy it, you put time limits on those kinds of uses in the past and they have to come
A
back.
temporary use, but did that involve
Yeah.
them building structures? Maybe it did.
And there was improvements that had to be made to those facilities that wanted
You're
their
right.
use in there for that period of time and they come back and it turned out it was great and
Yeah.
citizens loved it and you loved it and it was renewed without issue.
Well, I
But
don't-
if there
I-
are complaints, then that way those get heard too and you may want to change.
Well, that's why we had this public hearing that we closed and nobody spoke up on it, and notice was sent out and we had at least 3 local residents that responded, so I entertained the motion to approve ordinance as presented 25-006. That's a good one. I'm sorry?
Yes,
With the
oh,
fence.
yeah, you want it with the
I
fence
don't,
updates.
I don't care if it has that pony wall.
No, we need it for the column. It's all got just an iron fence in there right
Well, I
now. So if
think
we want
they-
the column.
I think
They said yes, so we just want to be sure that's in the ordinance, because that's not in the exhibit we have today.
The masonry columns were not included on the original plan.
Right.
Right.
So if you want the masonry columns without the pony wall, you need to specify the masonry columns with the decorative metal fencing.
how's that look to you? What's your preference? for security or for whatever?
Yeah, so I'll speak from the zipline side and then I think Walmart can speak from the Walmart side. So ultimately, like we do design our sites to fit into the community. We are in construction with these sites, with, the fencing that we propose. It is what makes it easiest for us to do maintenance on the docks. When we put things like masonry, it does make it more difficult for us to get our equipment in. So on the zipline side, we do have a preference for the fencing that we have proposed. Now, of course, we want to be as amenable as possible. So I'll let Ryan speak from the Walmart side.
So
But as far as
before
my
you
side-
speak on the Walmart
Mhm.
side though, wouldn't that be on the parking lot side that we generally don't see? So the perimeter aspect, could that be with the mason? I don't know what you have to get in there for your equipment.
So just make sure I'm understanding your proposal here. Is you were saying that you propose so on the right side of this,
That
and then
the left-hand side where that road is, the western road, the northern side for the northern fence people that are not in the city limits, and the south side to where the main parking lot is, having the masonry posts, but the side that's closest to the parking lot and the building have as simply for you to get your equipment in there.
So I think my proposal would be that we have the masonry posts on the north side and the south side. Most of the maintenance happens, there's a knee on the docks that allows them to like pivot, which would be left and right on
Okay.
this case.
So towards the east and west.
Yes. So if they were on the north and south would be the most ideal.
And are those big trucks or something?
Sorry, say that again?
Are those big trucks?
Not necessarily. It depends on the specific type of maintenance that we're doing. In some case, there may be a truck that gets in there, but the actual dock structure itself can like bend, if that makes sense. So in some cases, we can like remove a portion of the fence, for example, if they need to do a heavy maintenance.
Okay. And so what is that total width?
I mean, we can figure it out based on, if you want to say a column every 10 feet. On the
I think
north
there was
side
an
and
estimate
south
in
side.
the PowerPoint.
She wants to get rid of it.
The length is approximately 170 feet long,
How wide?
And
That's
how
north to
wide?
south? What's the?
north to south.
Yeah, what's the east
East
to
to
west?
Oh, east to west.
We're looking at the smaller east to west pieces. Is that what you're thinking, Mr. Mayor? Yeah.
It's about 20 feet wide.
Just a couple of columns.
And so when it articulates down, does that take up 80% of 20 feet?
If it's 28 feet tall. drop it
It's probably something like that because the knee is probably say 10 feet up, and then let's say it's taking 18 of the 20 feet.
That's 20 feet total. So you only got 10 feet you can go on either side.
So I guess I would be okay with north and south masonry. Yeah, the top and the bottom, so towards the north and towards the main parking lot. In my opinion, I think that that'd be fine, and if you need that other to be able to articulate those things down, to be able to get to it, because you'd remove the fence too, and you had to back up into it. I guess that makes sense to me, but if I'm understanding right.
I mean, I think everybody understood the spirit of what we were trying to accomplish with the masonry and the stonework and making it look nice. Knowing that, our partners are going to need some flexibility. We may need to, move it or change it or do something at some other point in time. I just want to have the flexibility to do that. But again, it's not going to be, it's going to be nice wrought iron. It's going to be in the spirit of the garden center here. So, I think that, we're willing to, Walmart for sure wants to work with you all, wants to make the store look nice, wants to work with our, all of our partners, to make sure that this is a successful venture.
Okay, so can I amend that? Consider approval of ordinance number 25-006 to include, masonry posts north and south only. And wrought iron similar to the garden section, I assume on the east and west. Okay, with whatever openings you have to have, so. Yeah,
We had a so moved, I'll do second on
and so that was a good one, I'm sorry. And I'm behind the 8 ball here now.
that. Oh, you had to work on it.
Lightfoot. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Good one, aye.
Miller, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith would like to abstain for more, I would like more info on the security, safety.
I think you have to vote.
I do have to vote.
Oh,
That's not a reason to abstain, so
All right.
you can vote no, that's fine.
Just, no, I would like to see more of the safety issues to make sure that these things just aren't falling.
Okay, so that's
That's 4-1.
4-1, and I'll probably be able to ease your confidence.
Right.
I doubt they're gonna have any safety insecurity that it's gonna be locked up when it needs to be locked up. And cameras or whatever, just because that's a big investment, but thank you for.
I do appreciate your thought on that.
Yeah. You good? We happy? Let's get it all done.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
All right. Item 10, Mr. Moses, and Mr. Flannery, thanks for speaking up, bringing that professionalism to that. So that's kind of cool. So thank you. You have a question? Okay, we'll put that pin away. Item 10, to conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 25-007, the city council, city of Red Oak, Texas, amending the code of ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from single-family ranchette estates to plan development 180, PD 180, by amending the development regulations to allow for reduced side yard setback requirements on the sites identified as Lot 6, Lot 7, Block E of the Hidden Creek Phase 3, Hidden Creek Phase 3, and addressed as 304, 301 Whispering Way respectively, Ellis County, Texas, and ordinance number 25-008, City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the code of ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from single-family ranchette estates to plan development 181 by amending the development regulations to allow for reduced side yard setback requirements on the site identified as Lot 10, Block E of Hidden Creek Phase 3, and addressed as 321 Whispering Way, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, and conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 25-009, City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the code of ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from single-family ranchette estates to planned development 182, PD 182, by amending the development regulations to allow for reduced side setbacks requirements for the site identified as Lot 7, Block D of the Hidden Creek Phase 3, and addressed as 300 Whispering Way, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, and conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 25-012, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the code of ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from single-family ranchette estates to plan development 183, PD 183, by amending the development regulations to allow for reduced side yard setback requirements on the site identified as Lot 10, Block C, City of Hidden Creek Phase 3 and addressed as 419 Whispering Way, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Mr. Hartman.
All right, for those all trying to follow along over here in the gallery. We're doing item 10, 11, 12, and 13 in one presentation here. So this is all straight zoned right now, which is our base zoning of RAE. RAE has a side yard setback of 25 feet minimum. This similar case was brought to you guys before, reducing the setback or request to reduce the setback to 15 feet instead of 25 feet so that the homeowners could build larger single-story homes instead of two-story homes because of the setbacks. So we've got 5 different lots. So on your screen, here at the end of the subdivision, these 2 lots here, this one next to the pond, this one here on the corner, and this one here kind of mid-block. Now, the reason we're having to do 5 separate ordinances or 4 separate ordinances because they're not contiguous. So we have to do a PD for each one to change the side setback for each one. But
Scan out so I can get my bearings.
sorry, we're in Hidden Creek Phase 3 north of Ovilla Road here. The original Hidden Creek was in here, and this is the 3rd phase of it.
Okay, now so zoom in. Again.
You good?
Yeah, yeah, so now zoom in, you see that again. Okay,
So 2 lots at the end of the cul-de-sac, one next to the lake, one on the corner, and then one mid-block. The applicant has provided some of the house plans that are already underway. And it's important to note that on the house plans, it's really only one side of the house that's going to be at the 15-foot mark because they still have side entry garages, and so they still need that wider footprint or setback on the side. So on this one in particular, it's 29 feet on one side and then the actual 15-foot on the other side. We did have one letter in opposition. Bob, do I need to read this? No. Okay. But it will go into the record as someone who wrote in about it.
Could we note or just where that 312 is in relation to one of these? Is it a direct neighbor? Is it a?
Yes, so they are. Oops.
Assumed it was neighbor to one of these slots here. Okay,
Yes,
that-
so they're on this lot
cul-de-sac.
here. And if I can pull up the.
so I would like you to read that to me. I'm just curious what their opposition.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will read it to you.
Leave it on the screen.
It is grammatically
Okay, well,
Slightly-
synopsis for me then.
incoherent. We hope that the council will prayerfully consider the zoning change request for plots linked to 312 Whispering Way, Red Oak, Texas. We purchased a almost acre lot here because we wanted to be on a bigger piece of land with more privacy and rules regarding how close you could build to the property lines and rules of the HOA, which aren't being enforced either, which I discussed with Miss Higgins, and have sent a letter to the people listed on a letter that collect money, but there is no HOA, no committee, no meetings. This should be illegal. Also, it's a non-existent entity that asks for annual dues. And then it goes on more about HOA stuff.
So are they for it? No, they're not. They're against it. And they're against it because they bought, if I'm summarizing charitably, they bought at a 25-foot setback on their property. They think other properties should keep the 25-foot setback, so they keep their in the name of privacy. That's the summary of the.
That would be a good summary of it.
So is it that it can't be shifted back to get 25 feet?
I
I want to see where it
I'm not 100% sure if that math would work out, but it could possibly. Yeah, so that point right there is 33 feet. And so if they shifted it back to maybe here, that you might get 25 foot there. But then you lose a lot of your backyard is what I assume they were trying to avoid.
It's a regular. Or they lose that room.
So that's that one.
They would
It's
end up
this
losing
one
that
right here.
room on that
Yes.
house.
And do we have
So
the next lot? was-
So in looking at this lot here, they looks like they're about almost 50 feet. So then another 15 feet, they're well beyond.
Is there fencing between those two?
At this time, I don't know.
No.
It's not required. It's not a requirement, no.
Okay, so which one is that one first?
So that's the first one, item 10.
Item 10, okay, and then 304 would be that next one over there by.
So, sorry. Next out of this.
Yeah, they are, okay. And then the next address.
So
is-
304 is here, 301 is here.
And you have a house set on that one too, a plan?
Yes,
Yeah, so that was, we said that's number 10, 304 and 301 are number 10.
yes. So this is the other house here. So it's,
So they lose their back setting.
yeah, so on theirs, their backyard is more to this piece of the lot here. But they're far off on one side, and then they're, like I said, they're only utilizing the 15 foot on one side of the lot.
What about to the back? Is there a setting that needs to be that way?
It's 20 foot minimum.
What does that read?
They've got 20 and 6 inches.
20 feet.
Sounds like they need to make 2 stories on these.
I think that was the original plan, and then they decided they're selling better as single story with the wider foot.
Well, then they should have plotted it right or platted it right or whatever.
Yeah, well, I personally appreciate 1 stories. But my question to staff would be, considering all the ones that I just reviewed are irregular shaped lots, would it be more beneficial for the applicant to do a variance instead of a PD?
This variance would be a self-created hardship at that point.
Are these houses sold, ready to go? Waiting on this?
Well, I'll let the developer speak to that. But I don't know. They're not built.
But if they've already got a contract on the house being built, or
I'll let
one of
him
us walk in there and go.
Yeah, I'll let him speak to that. I don't.
That's fine.
All right, so show us those others and how they lay out.
Okay. So we'll move up to the one next to the pond here. So I'll note on the one that's next to the pond, the 15 foot is adjacent to the pond, which is doesn't affect anyone here. So
What number on Whisper Way?
is this one we're talking about right now? That is the 321. So it's 15 foot and then the pond is here. And then they have 30 feet, which is over the 25 foot.
I think we wrote the ordinance, so it's only the side they showed on the depiction. So they're only getting a side yard setback on whatever side they've noted in this
Okay.
depiction that Ben is showing. So it's
Thank
not
you.
on both sides. It's only on the side.
It's not a
that they've
blanket.
requested. Yes.
Yeah, blanket change, it's just.
Okay, so
Just on the side.
before you go away from that pond, is that an open pond? Is that a water-filled pond?
Yes,
That's-
it's a retention pond.
Okay,
Yes.
so is there a walking loop around there?
Yes.
That is? And so it's gonna be closer to the walking loop?
Yes. Dwayne, do you have a fence right here? They will. So the next one is up here on the corner. Valley Trail and Whispering Way. And the closer side is on the street side, and the side that the home, that will have a home next to it is 30 feet, or over 30 feet away from it.
This is 400.
Yes. Sorry, I'll keep up with the addresses here.
That was my job.
Yeah, that was 400 Whispering Way, and then 419 Whispering Way, will have a home next to the 15-foot side, because the way this house lays out, it's actually going build line to build line, because the garage is inset, even though it's still a side entry garage, it's inset on the elevation, if that makes sense. If you can see
So
that there.
both sides are 15 feet.
Yes.
Okay, now show us on the map which one that one is. Long skinny lot. So it seems like you should combine those two lots and make one big one. Have the Johnsons move there. Okay, which one was the other one? The one straight down?
That was very rhetorical.
Yes, it was. I was
I'm
just-
sorry, this one here?
That's the last one, so there's a lot, there's gonna be 15-foot and 15-foot,
Correct.
but then the house to the north, that'll have 30-foot?
It'll have 25 and 25, because these are actually already built, if I remember right. Yes. They are, okay. I just don't think it shows up on the CAD yet. Yeah, so it's this lot right here in the middle. So they
Are
were,
they occupied?
Yes. Were these the ones that you got the setback on? No. Okay. Okay. So,
All these residents were notified of this.
yes, everybody
We got
within
one
200.
comment from one of the ones that-
Correct, correct.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, there's fences on some of these too.
Okay.
And the developer and builder is here as well for any additional questions.
Okay, so this is a public hearing and we have, Mr. Lassiter. You wish to speak on, this public hearing, which let me open first, is at 8:43. And if you'll give us your name and your address, and then Ben, if you'll point to where his house is.
Sure. Michael Lassiter, resident at 315 Whispering Way. Here because I know we mentioned that we were notified, but we got letters but didn't know what half the information meant. We do have several residents who live in the area who will be affected by some of these changes, but aren't quite clear on what it means, what the plans look like, and how it might impact what they envision for their investment. And at this dollar point, I feel like we should have some level of open discussion before it's decided here today exactly what happens. Considering we're a relatively small knit community and know of each other very well, the builders and the developer, this is a conversation that probably could have been had via text if we wanted to, but unfortunately, it wasn't. So we're here to learn more about it. And then speaking on behalf of some of my neighbors who could not be here today, would like to know a little bit more about how this might impact their plans. Some of them do have fences up. We've built a fence. I live at 315, 321 would impact.
Are you in that one? Are you in that, are you on that screen?
Yes, sir.
Which one is, point to it, you know how to?
No, I don't know how to do that, but there's the one with the pond right next to that one. And so it's my understanding based on today's presentation that it might not necessarily impact the distance between our house and theirs.
Yeah, it
But I
didn't look like
wouldn't,
it. Yeah, we can.
The other side.
but wouldn't have known that otherwise had you not been here today. And so there are
Hey,
some.
Ben, pull up his house,
He's the one by the pond.
2 down from the pond.
315, so we can see what.
And while they do it,
Here, that's you.
There. Even driveways on the other side and everything.
So yeah, just came really to learn more information about what would be happening and then also speak on behalf of my neighbors who could not be here today under such short notice and provide their comments out of concern. Stephanie Johnson, whose letter you shown, while it may not have been as eloquent as she probably could be in person, she does have some legitimate concerns about like the privacy and what she expected based on her initial investment and kind of what's being asked by the developer here today. So just want to take that into consideration before you guys make decisions and give us an opportunity to fully understand what's being requested and based on our level of investment in this particular neighborhood community, have clarity before you guys decide one way or the other.
Are you, so if I'm understanding you correctly,
Mhm.
you're just more so wanting more information. You're not for or against. You just want to know.
Sir, yeah, it's hard to say that I'm against, right? Because I'm not sure how it impacts
Oh,
my,
understand.
because I'm not familiar with zoning, right? But we do want to know so that way we can make a more informed, protest or support, if we so choose, right?
So it's 5 feet basically, is
5
it
feet
right?
closer.
10 feet.
Because it's from 25 to 15 and only on one side for 4 of the lots and then 2 sides for 1 of the lots.
But for his house, it won't affect it at all because they want to go to the north side.
Right. Yeah.
So it'll still be 25 feet off of his property line, which, or I think it was 30.
It was more than that, it looked like, but at least the 25.
But whatever his is off
To 321, okay.
Reduce design.
on the north side, away from his house.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Yep.
Uh, Anyone else wish to speak on this public hearing? Sure.
Evening, Mayor, Council.
Name and address.
Dwayne Bryan, 1450 Club Hill Drive, Rockwall, Texas. So what Mr. Lassiter was just speaking on behalf of the community and what he was saying, it made a lot of sense in terms of just advising, what was going on. We had already submitted for several before, and as Ben explained, it's mainly setbacks, and we insured on the designs on each side, just like Mr. Lassiter, Mr. Dez, on their side, we stayed at that 25-foot side setback. But for Mrs. Johnson, here at 304, the reason it affects theirs is what she's concerned about is if we move this back, has been explained, there's no backyard. And I know that both Mr. Lassiter and Mr. Dez could attest to, they live right next to another one that has no backyard. So that allows us to at least go up another 10 feet of backyard to accommodate that build. And the rest, it's for a wider footprint, which they've been blessed to have a 160-foot wide lot. So they had no problem with getting wider footprints.
Are these houses sold already if this goes through?
On those actual lots, we're just designed to build and sell, which gives
So
us a
you're-
better,
You're building them and sell them after the fact.
along
They're
with,
not
yes, with Kevin.
spec- They're
Yes.
specs, they're not.
So, okay. Anything else? Thank you very much, sir.
Just real quick, that's kind of important to note about losing backyard space is this is all a septic subdivision. So their septic is in the backyard. So they need larger backyards to handle the septic system. So.
Why
it's
not
not
put
on
it in the
sewer.
front so they have?
I'm just saying, it's an item to consider.
They're not like you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Mayor's spicy today. He's any comments going.
So, okay, so the time would be, was there anybody else that wishes to speak on this? Okay. 8:50, entertain the motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
And that's Smith and Franklin?
Franklin.
Okay, sorry. Those in
Mayor.
favor? Yep, Sorry.
Go ahead and take your vote on it.
okay. Those in favor of closing?
Franklin, I.
Aye.
Miller, I.
Smith, I.
That's 5-0. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, as a result of looking at this, I think item 10 should be taken separately because it may take 4 out of 5 since there's opposition. We have not written opposition. When you have written opposition, maybe 20% or more of the land adjacent because it's 2 lots. So I would recommend that that one be done separately for sure.
Okay.
You can take them all separately depending on your discussion, you could lump 11, 12, 13 together if you so choose, but they could be done separately.
What's staff's recommendation?
Planning and Zoning Commission and staff's recommendation would be to approve
What?
to approve as written.
Okay, before you go sit down, which lots have we already done this modification of setbacks?
You remember what the addresses were, Dwayne?
The ones on the south side would be the 300, on the north side would be the 400. On the narrower lots are the ones that.
And we did it to 15.
We did it to this one here. What was the other one, Dwayne?
449.
Yeah, they were all together. So it was 1, 2, 3 in a row.
And they were they reduced from 25 down to 15.
15.
Okay, and is there construction on those houses? Sir?
No, the ones
Prior
that the previous ones we did.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
But are they under contract? Okay. But you're not the one who laid out these lots, correct?
Yes.
So it's straight zoning. So they just
No.
followed the straight zoning lot minimums to lay out the subdivision.
Right. To plat it.
Yes, he was the developer of the
Okay.
property.
So how so we have plenty of spaces on Rugged Drive? Is that part of this? At all?
No, so the
So
phase,
this was that new one.
yeah, phase 1 and phase 2 were done many years ago. And then phase 3 was just done. When did y'all complete it? 21, 22.
Okay. So was the original, I'm gonna use the wrong terms, so forgive me. Was the original house size for these ranchettes to be single story, double story, wide or deep? And whoever developed this, would you not have taken that into consideration when you laid out the lots? To know that you're gonna have a hard time fitting the type of house on this lot?
So our zoning doesn't require 2-story or 1-story. It's just gonna have minimum setbacks and minimum square footages.
Okay.
Required to build within those.
Right.
setbacks.
Yard
Okay.
space and lot regulations.
Well, then.
In other words, if
do
we
you
say
not-
no, he can just build a smaller house
Or
higher
make it deeper,
or deeper,
right?
lose your backyard.
So you stay in that confinement of those setbacks that were already established, which were made when when it was designed, right? When it was laid out?
It was laid out under base zoning,
Okay,
which is very strict.
But they could have, had they wanted to, they could have reduced it by one lot for the entire subdivision. and
Yes.
Given a little bit more space to work with.
Yes, but I don't want to speak for him, but he's not a developer builder where they would have planned out each home like a DR Horton. Like they pick their homes before they start the subdivision and then they lay out the subdivision based on the home types that they have to do. So this is a custom neighborhood with custom builds. Like there's no 2 homes in there the same, and I don't think there's even one home in there that's the same as any other home in Red Oak because it's 100% custom.
and that's fabulous. I love seeing that, but is there not a design that's just a smidgen narrower, but a little bit deeper?
I'm sure. I can let him speak on that.
Now, why these particular
dimensions?
Yeah, why?
Talk to us
I
about
think what you're asking is more of if you were doing a production subdivision. And when you laid it out, and of course with the change of time in the market, you start having more people that wanted to have a wider footprint. That was not something that we anticipated, anything that we did any research on. It was just something that just came across with, I don't want to say having older clients because Liz and Mike, they're not older, but you can see, but we have those who are in their 40s plus in the community, so they prefer having a wider blueprint.
Sure, and I understand not having a two-story for older clients if that's what they're doing.
This is one of the most beautiful layouts, I think, in the city.
I agree.
It's a fabulous development. I really appreciate it. And in light of us allowing Sardine City to have 55-foot lots, I don't see what the problem is here with letting it drop down on a few lots.
What, something I would add, as well, just seeing how the market trends are, how the market is trending. I personally, just my humble opinion, think it's commendable for a developer to choose to go one story, because that means they're not chasing a dollar, if you will. It's more so about what's really customary for the person who's gonna buy this house.
Yeah.
So typically when a developer comes in and wants to change height restrictions to go higher, it's to maximize on square footage to of course turn more profit, which is understandable, commerce. But to hear a developer want to stick to one story in this market is in my opinion commendable. That tells me they're really trying to stick to the customary floor plans. With the citizens concern, sorry, Mr. Lattimore, is it? Lassiter, excuse me. I think that's more sort of a conversation, just to have more of an understanding of how it affects the neighborhood. But I do commend in this market any developer that says, hey, I want to do one stories and I want it to be custom and not track homes maximizing on profit.
Well, I'll even add that I mean, the straight zoning is strict for a reason, to be an envelope. And if a developer comes in and says, this doesn't work for me because I've got a market that changes, I think this is they're doing this process correctly to come in and say, I want it for this particular lot, I want to make just this change. You know, I don't feel like they're overreaching on the change they might be requesting to get it would be a variance other than the technicality that it's their own design that wants the variance. It feels pretty reasonable to me to come in lot by lot, footage by footage to say, this is exactly the change that I want. This is the reason why. It feels pretty reasonable to do that, go through that process here.
So,
And
yeah.
P and Z and staff
Yeah,
has recommended approval.
And it's except for the fact that we do have an established neighbor there that now has said, hey, I was under the impression it's gonna have this 25 and yet now there's not gonna be 25. It's gonna be closer to me. So how do we, and that's one of the ones that we should take out separately.
Property line is almost 50 feet.
50 feet from
their
it.
other property line.
So instead of being 50, 25 for the 25 for the neighbor, it's gonna be 65 or something like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, so how do you reconcile that? Okay, so
I think an educational conversation, I think would help, just an understanding. I think that would help tremendously for the community, and the developer.
yeah, so what are you saying then? To not do anything?
No, I recommend the developer or whoever is appointed to have a conversation. It seems like it was just a misunderstanding of, hey, how does this affect my property? Now, with the letter that we received, now that one is a little bit different, but from what I'm hearing today, the general consensus is we just don't know how this affects our property. We was kind of, I guess, notified a couple of weeks ago or whenever that notification went out. So it seems like it's just a matter of, hey, we just want to know what's going on.
Okay, so then let's take item 11 and item 12, since we don't have neighbors to those two. Is that not, am I correct? So, 2509, 2508. We have no neighbors to, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve those two ordinance changes or approve ordinance number 2508, 2508, 25009.
So moved.
Second.
Now, is there one to 419? Is that one? Can we do that one also? Okay, so let's modify that to 2508, 25009, 2508, and that was entertain the motion to approve, and that's Goodwin
Second,
and Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Miller, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that's 5-0. Now, the difference is for 2507, and those are the ones down in the bottom of the cul-de-sac, is that correct? Okay,
Is that the letter that we,
yes.
Yeah.
may I see that again?
I think
So
it's
this
in
is
the
the
packet,
cul-de-sac,
too.
right? That's the correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the green lot there.
And I guess I should ask, where's the subject
Subject property? Is that what you're asking for?
of the
Yeah.
letter? Where's 312?
312?
Yeah, so the lady who wrote the letter, the homeowner, excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're there. Okay, thank you.
So that was that measurement I gave you from the,
Could you show me how far she is from that property line?
About 60 feet, I think.
it's 50.
47,
50
so
feet,
47.
and then, or 48 plus then the 15, that would be, that he's asking,
And what's the minimum?
25.
25.
Yeah, so
And-
if she was next to another house that had a 25-foot setback and she was on 25-foot back setback, there'd only be 50 feet between the houses, but here there's gonna be 65 feet between the houses.
I mean, there's no question.
And may I see that letter one more time, just
Yes.
to acknowledge?
And is that data bank, is that what's behind them in their backyard?
They're to the data banks to the east.
Just that property right there beside them, right? It's gonna back up to them. Is there land in between?
There's a, yeah,
Alright.
there's a piece.
I was
there.
just wondering where that was.
Sorry, Willie, for trying.
Oh,
to
no,
read
you're
that.
okay.
We're sending you all over the map.
Yeah.
All right. And then 304 is the next lot over. and-
Correct.
And what was the specifics on that one? Why is that one that they need the setbacks?
It was the same thing. They were pushing it more to the side and then having the,
But it's away from this gentleman here.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
on the opposite side of it, his land.
So pull that up again.
sorry, you still trying to
Oh,
read
no,
this? Okay.
Thank you.
It's in the packet too.
Yeah.
Councilman, if you didn't, if you couldn't catch it on the screen.
No, I'm good.
Closer to the lake than it is his house.
Okay, so that's,
So it's set back 52 feet and from the road and then, or from the front property line and then 15 foot here on the
It's
side, but
50
then, then set,
15 foot at the corner, and then it goes up to 50 feet on the rear.
okay, and then what,
Which is for.
then is there a house to the north of that one? To the,
the,
15?
Yes.
15.
yes, here.
yeah, so, and what is that distance? You know,
Measurement. 45-ish.
so the
It's
same.
actually further. than that.
Okay, so that equals, okay,
So it's
that
about
makes sense.
68.
Okay.
I do
Uh,
understand her concerns, but I mean, I think I'd be more concerned if we were talking 0 lot or 1 or 2 feet, then now we're talking life safety, but.
Right.
The wall's going like this.
All right. So I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 25-007. And that's Goodwin and Franklin.
Second.
I'm sorry, Miller. I apologize. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Miller, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0.
Thank you. That's all, that completes your planning and zoning docket for this evening, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank
Um,
you, Beth.
thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for walking us through.
Yeah.
Just give
thank you
us
for
time to talk to
bringing to
the,
it.
to the homeowner, to give them a little bit of information on how this may or may not affect their property.
Best ones we got.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. all for
Thank you
coming.
very
Yeah, I
much.
appreciate y'all coming.
Item 14 is consider approval of appointments, reappointments, resignations, removal of membership for the City of Red Oak boards and commissions, City of Red Oak Industrial Development Corporation, reappointment of Ben Goodwin, Alan Hughley, and David Wells as regular members for a 3-year term from February 2025 through February 2028.
So moved.
Okay, that
Second.
is
Second.
Lightfoot. Miller, those in favor,
Franklin, I.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
that's 5-0. All right. Department heads. Are y'all burning to talk? All right, good. Chief Plant.
I don't think they were.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just want to bring to your attention that, obviously in the month of January, there towards the end of January, we provided several mutual aid calls for water rescues in Ferris, Palmer, and Maypearl due to those heavy rains we had, experienced there. I believe it was January 30th, if I'm not mistaken. Had lots of swift water rescue calls, and our guys did a fantastic job of being able to get out there and, utilize the equipment, the boat. They used the boat one time, used a ladder truck another time to rescue people that had unfortunately driven into water. In January, we did experience 31% of overlapping calls for service, which is 107 overlapping incidents overall, which obviously created some gaps in service. Just again, y'all continue to hear me say that every month. That's just us getting busier and growth. So I don't have anything additional unless you have any questions for me regarding the monthly report or anything else.
It's getting harder and harder to do like year over year, same month last year comparisons.
Right.
Trend keeps going up.
Up. Yeah, exactly.
Same, I know it's the same in the police report too. It's just hard. It's hard to make those comparisons.
Yes, sir.
We're growing too fast.
Yep.
Maybe not too fast. We're growing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Good evening, council. I don't have anything major to discuss on the monthly report. We've had a couple of dismissals lately on hiring. So got 4 vacancies that we continue to fill, processing lateral vacancies at this time. I'll be happy to answer any questions on the monthly if you have anything.
No questions here.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, your mouth is full. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I wanted to start out by thanking each of you for participating in this year's State of the City. Our department is very proud, and we've heard compliments from staff as well as from some of y'all and the community on that video. And I think part of that is that we got to see all of your faces and that you were all participants this year. So I wanted to thank you for that. And then wanted to also highlight that we have started what we're calling the State of the City mini series. So we're actually we did it last year. We're going to do it again this year. We're breaking that 12-minute video up into a 6-week, 1-minute kind of highlight reel. So it took some of the important topics out of that. And, makes it a little bit easier to digest. Not everybody wants to watch a 12-minute video, and we see some better engagement with those 1-minute snapshots. So episode 2 comes out tomorrow. So if you have not seen episode 1, it was on public safety. 2 comes out tomorrow. And then, like I said, we'll have 4 additional ones coming up in the next few weeks. So those are posted on our social channels. And if anybody's interested and has not seen the full State of the City 12-minute video, that is on our Red Oak Meeting YouTube channel. Besides that, in the monthly report, just wanted to highlight that we have added, in addition to our social media analytics, kind of just our top 3 posts for the month. So that's something new for us. So if you guys are interested in taking a look at that, we outline those actual top 3 posts, which may be on our page or a different page, depending on the content. So, and I will take any questions anybody has.
But the one I have is, with the development of, the Oaks subdivision, are we putting thoughts into where the red oak, white, and blue firework thing will be, with all those houses being developed back behind there? Is that still a safe area to host with, the Oaks?
I can comment on that. So we faced this last year and did work with the fire department last year to make sure that we had the proper radius for the size shells that we have. So we did have to slightly shift it over to the north a little bit for us to have that proper radius, but we shouldn't have any issues currently with our 6-inch shell. We can't go any larger than 6-inch but we do meet we are over the minimum as of right now.
So we have a lot of IDC land out, 342 or whatever. Can we not use that? So we can go to a 10-inch shell or something like that?
So
I'm sorry. Yeah.
the biggest issue with undeveloped land would be parking and being able for the access, not only for the fireworks, but as well as for the public.
That's too bad. I want to see a 10-inch shell. Okay. All right.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Alexa said my performance was by far the best.
I think that's a howitzer, whatever. Yes, sir.
Mayor, council, I just wanted to inform you guys that we just received the first round of the permit for the new fire station. And so we reviewed everything, got comments back in less than a week. So look for that to come, I think, or a permit issued, sometime in the next few months, hopefully in the summer. Not sure what the construction time is, but we're kicking the permit out the door, I guess. Try to get it going. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Ms. Tierney.
Mayor, council, good evening. Post Super Bowl evening at that. A couple of things I want to highlight from the finance report. First, I want to say I want to recognize the accounting team. They did a great job this past month in getting out all the W-2s and 1099s with plenty of time. And they did it independently. They reviewed the IRS guidance themselves and they were able to do it all on their own. So they did a fantastic job. So I want to recognize their hard work this past January. I also wanted to mention that we did interview and hire a budget analyst position. So they'll be joining us next week, I believe. So we'll be officially fully staffed. And with that, this person will be jumping, heels first into the new budget season. So we're starting preparations for that as well. As far as the financial analysis, sales tax are still up 11% compared to the prior year. Property taxes are at about 81% of collections, so they're doing very well. And this next month we'll see another larger collection as well. Building permit revenues are already at 150% of the budgeted revenue, and that's largely due to just one specific permit. It was over $1 million, so that really bumped that section of revenue up quite a bit. Water sales are at about 40% as the same period in the prior year. They were increased. The sewer sales are increased about 12% as compared to the same period in the prior year. The general fund, the water sewer fund, and the stormwater drainage fund are at 67% of budgeted revenues, 28% of budgeted revenues, and 29% respectively. So their general fund's doing very well in that regard. The water and sewer are a little behind where we want to see it around this time of year. But for those same funds, all the expenses are trending very well. They're under that 33% mark is where we want to see it. Keep in mind that this next coming month, you'll see some of our largest expenditures hit, and that's going to be in terms of our bond payments. So those expenditures look great now, but the biggest portion of them are going to hit next month. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a quick recruitment update. In the month of January, we hired 4 new employees citywide, and we currently have 5 positions posted on our website for applicants. On March 7th, we will have our Employee Appreciation Day for our city employees. It's a day that we celebrate each year. And the committee has decided to host a breakfast at 8:30 in the community room on Friday, March 7th. If any of you are able to make it and attend, we would love to invite you to come. And if you have any questions, I'm available to answer for my monthly report. It's going to be catered by Gravy. So a full spread from Gravy. Biscuits and gravy, eggs. 8:30. Yes. And I can also forward that invite to all of you to your email. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, council, good evening. Just want to let you know, we have started going through our backlog of projects. We're starting to catch up on that. We did finally get everything off our old data server. We began the build of our new email server, so that'll add some features to Outlook for those of you that use Outlook. We built a new PC for the police department as an upgrade of their Cellbrite system, which is how they do their cellular phone forensics. And we did get our data backup system up and running, so we have multiple backups of on-site data, and we also back it up to the cloud, so that'll help protect us in case of a cyber attack. And that's all the main stuff I want to point out, unless you got questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Kelly.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm very happy to report that the roof replacement is finished on the Parks building at the field house. They finished that last week. We did get a test today with the rain. It no longer drips inside, so everything that was leaking before is now fixed. So I appreciate that getting passed, so that way we can stay dry inside. This last weekend, we had about 30 young folks from our scouting group here that meets at the Methodist Church. They came over. Officer C is one of their leaders. They came over and helped us plant some wildflower seeds out at the new Oaks Trail Park that has a lot of the natural area in the middle. So we did basically it's a seed ball technique where we put the seed in with moist soil, they roll it to a ball, and then the kids get to go and throw it. So you can see some of those pictures on our Facebook page that our communications folks came out, such a really good pictures of them throwing it. So it was a really neat deal, helped us out and gave them some community service hours. Next Saturday on February the 22nd, the week after next, is from 9:30 to 11 at the Municipal Center. We have the annual Toucher Truck, and would like to, if you're available, drop in. It's a come and go event where the kids get an opportunity to play with fire trucks, police cars, all kinds of neat stuff that they might not otherwise get to get up close and personal with. The Catch a Trout, we had about 200 kids participate. So it was really amazing. A great opportunity for the kids to get outside, get to learn a little bit about fishing, and get to have a little fun. Fish were very active. We had multiple kids. The most caught that we had recorded was 18 by one of the kids. So the numbers were really high this year. Parks and Wildlife dropped off a lot of extra fish. They had about 3,000 that they dropped off. So it's other cities' loss is our gain. When they have problems with their ponds or whatever, they got to do something with the fish. And so we have the capacity. So we told them just drop them off if you've got them. So they did. So the fish are still active over there. Anybody wants to go fishing, it's game on over there, and you keep 5 a day. So really nice event sponsored by the Tajin. We are currently working on the Bear Creek Park Master Plan. So that is in progress. So going a little bit slow, but we're making some progress, some headway, and that's kind of what I expected. We'll just go a little bit back and forth, and we'll have some ideas that we'll come back and start presenting to make sure that we're on track with the needs of the community. And a lot of this will be based upon our 2022 master plan, which is a 10-year plan. And hopefully we can include most of the large items that we need into that. So that was the goal with that, is to try to meet all the community needs if we can possibly do it in one park.
Are they doing any interviews in the public or about the park plan?
We're taking the public comment that we had from the master plan, and incorporating that in a start, and then we'll take public feedback as we go along towards the end. All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. Benford.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. January has been a very busy month for the Public Works Department. We actually completed over 1,400 individual tasks throughout the water, wastewater, streets, and stormwater department. We held pre-construction meetings for the FM 664 utility relocates that'll be happening from Ryan all the way to Cole Road, all there along Ovilla Road. So get ready for more construction along Ovilla Road. As well as the Dobbit's 1.5 million gallon elevated storage tank, and contracts actually signed and back to Landmark today. So we're gonna start seeing some ground moving on that. Very excited for that. And then we've been working with a consultant to revise our city stormwater management plan in accordance with the updated EPA and TCQ general permit. We've added 12 additional BMPs to keep protecting our city's stormwater, natural streams, reservoirs, so we can keep having all the catch a trout events we want, and we keep getting other cities fish because we take care of our city. And then last but not least, we've been utilizing the asphalt zipper down off Sutton Road to resurface that road, and seen major improvements out there. It's looking nice. So yeah, that's all I have unless you have any questions.
How many inches of asphalt are you putting on that road?
We are putting in the middle, it's a little bit higher, about 3 inches, and on the edge is about 2.5, just so we can get that crown for roll off.
Think that'll hold on the edges?
It should. 2.5 compacted down to 2 is pretty standard. And anywhere we see that it's not, we can always adjust it with the asphalt laydown machine. We could lay down up to 4 inches at once. But we
Steinbach, that one seems like it's.
So with Steinbach, we're actually looking at doing an asphalt study with a consultant right now that's under review. So that way, the next time we come through there,
More sampling to figure out what the base failures have been, because that's been the long-term problem out there.
yeah, it's not the asphalt surface itself. It's the subgrade and trying to figure out what we need to do, how far down we need to go, and what kind of costs would be associated with that.
Since '07, I think we put 3 roads in there, 2 chip and seals, and that asphalt road, and still breaking down, so.
Yeah, that chip seal we've moved away from strictly asphalt right now, as well as a product that we used in the Deer Creek area called Onyx that we partnered with Precinct 4 with, and we've seen pretty good results with that right now.
I have a question. The HOH for Harmony was asking about Hampton Road. You guys did a phenomenal job on one side, but marked on the other side, the questions of the homeowners on that strip was, is that an indication that it's coming soon to do some work on the other side where the marks were done, or?
So we have a couple right-of-way permits that have gone for the Harmony area where they're bringing in fiber, new fiber networks throughout Harmony. But we are currently in the process of acquiring all the hardware for posts on Paradise Way as well as Sunnyside. So we'll branch up Paradise Way, go down Sunnyside, and then branch out from there.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay, the time is 9:24, and we will go into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.087, 551.072.
Yeah, as posted on the agenda as of Friday, February 7th.
Expect any action?
I don't.
Don't think so.
The time, good, thank you. The time is 10:08 and we will reconvene into from executive session into open session. Was there any actions that need to be taken? All right, entertain the motion at 10:09 to adjourn.
So moved.
And that was by
Second.
Goodwin and
Second.
Miller, second. Those in favor?
Goodwin, aye. Miller, aye.
Let's go home. Thank you for your service to your city and